every single thing that we have. It's like living in Hawaii. Everything gets flown in, and what you realize is that most of the produce, most of the seafood, most of the things in the grocery store were flown in by another country. You've guessed it, not the country that you live in. So, what does that mean to you as a person who buys groceries and has to live in America? That means that if the majority of the things that you buy are exported, that means brought in by another country, you're probably going to pay a pretty price for that avocado, for that pineapple, a lot more than someone in Guatemala, Colombia, Mexico, etc. Now, if you've never traveled the world, as I named off some of these countries, you would probably think that these are crappy places to live. They don't have running water or electricity. But you're wrong. Their Airbnbs, homes, etc., are magnificent. They even have G Wagons and so on. It's quite modern, actually. So, the reason why people are leaving America is because if you have a passport, quickly figure out that you have been overpaying for everything. All you got to do is get on a flight and realize that why do eggs cost $6 to $12 cheaper because I'm in another country? Why don't eggs cost the same price in America as they do in any other South America or Asian country? I'll tell you why. Because America doesn't make its food, we get everything flown in. Everything is exported. When I say everything, I mean almost everything. That's why almost everything is always expensive. Hopefully, these things are starting to make sense to you guys. Make sure you subscribe, like the live. The reason why people are leaving America is because they're finding out that they're overpaying and things are cheaper in other places. They find out that an apartment is an apartment no matter where I live. So, why am I overpaying for an apartment? A water is water no matter where I live. But why does why does America's water cost more than anybody's water in the world? Why does America's chicken cost more than any other chicken in the world? Why does Americans beef cost more? Any restaurant you go to in America, you're going to overpay for what people in other countries pay very little for. You know when Americans really realized this? When prescription drugs were on the table and they were talking about how much Americans spend for prescription drugs. Exactly, Diaz. Thank you guys so much. You guys, make sure you subscribe, like, share the live. When we were going through prescription drugs, everyone was like, oh my God, all the other countries don't pay anything for prescription drugs, and Americans have to pay so much for prescription drugs. Well, guess what? Americans pay, uh, we overpay for everything, not just prescription drugs. We pay too much for milk. We pay too much for cheese. We pay too much for a watermelon. And here's what the kicker is. It would be different if the food in America was organic, but it's not. In other countries, the eggs are left out non-refrigerated. I will say that again. If you don't have a passport, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. In other countries, the eggs are already outside, it's not refrigerated. You see, people are leaving America because you're figuring out that you're overpaying for GMO food. And why would you do that? Why would you want to overpay for food? You wouldn't want to overpay for food. You wouldn't want to do that at all. As a matter of fact, you start to realize even bread. Diaz, thank you. Diaz says even bread. And even bread's more expensive. And you start to realize, wait a second, a loaf of bread is a loaf of bread. Why does it has to cost more every single time I go to the grocery store? It's because here in America, we get everything exported to us. So we have figured out that when you go to other places, when you go and realize that you can shop at these other places, these other countries, you're like, wait a minute. I'm just, wait a minute, I'm just gonna stay in this place and pay less for rent. I'm gonna stay in this place and pay less for groceries. I'm gonna stay in this place and just live a better quality life. People are leaving America because we figured out that other places are great too. We figured out that America is not the only great nation. There's other places that are great too. They just don't have the same technology. They just don't have the same values. They just don't have the same belief systems as, let's say, America. But that doesn't make these countries like a Colombia or Guatemala or Honduras or something like that. That doesn't make these countries less attractive. Now, guess what? I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but they always tell me, "Hey, Gerald, whenever you go to these other countries, aren't you afraid of the violence and all the crime?" You mean like all the stuff that happens here in America, like every single day, like every time you turn on the news, somebody's doing something to someone else in America? Like what? It's no less violent in another country than it is here in America. Let's just face it, guys. Like the rouge is up. Like America, we do things great. We do some things great, right? We don't do everything great, and that's okay. One thing we haven't figured out as Americans is how to grow our own food. Let's bring back agriculture again. I would love that. How about we bring back agriculture? That would be great. I would love that. Make agriculture great again. Like literally, even the chicken tastes so different in Colombia. The chicken tastes different, the beef tastes different, the eggs taste different. Everything is inexpensive and affordable to eat. You're not overpaying for just the most simplest products and services. Just when I went to Bogota, Colombia, Bogota is simply amazing. Really great food, really great infrastructure. The military presence and police are all over Colombia in a good way. uh you know People are leaving America because you're figuring out I can live a good quality life in any other places. Like there's other places to go to, there's other places that exist outside of America, but most Americans don't even have a passport. So it's kind of difficult to go somewhere if you don't have a passport. So yeah, why are people leaving America? It's overpriced, it's not as safe as it used to be, things are different. Seafood, I hear in my chat here because I'm on YouTube live here. What does the chat say? On the chat, YouTube, it says seafood, shrimp, crab. Exactly. Exactly. Produce, more domestic products. Yeah. Everything. Thank you guys for subscribing. Thanks for liking the live, guys. Make sure you're following me on Fearless Conversations on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Everything from seafood to clothing. Like we're overpaying because we don't make anything. Like we don't make our own. We don't have bananas like Honduras. Like I was in Honduras, and you know where the Chiquita factory, the Chiquita banana farm, where one of their farms is? It's in Honduras. Is there a Chiquita banana farm in America? Probably not. And you know what's funny is why people are leaving America. If if one of these countries decides that they only want to sell their product to other countries but not America, and they can actually afford to do it, what are we gonna do as Americans? Like, what if Honduras says, "No, we're gonna sell our bananas to Colombia"? Sorry, yeah, no, keep your money. You're good. You're gonna overpay? Nah, we still don't want to do it. Like, what are we gonna do as Americans when Mexico says we're not selling you avocados? We're gonna sell them to Russia. What? Yeah, and we don't care how much you offer us. We're not selling you anything. Like, I don't think America's really thought this thing through. What happens when we as Americans can't throw money at people anymore and that doesn't work? They have the food. They Oh my god, I don't think we even think about this. Other countries have all the food that we buy. As Americans, do we realize that other countries have all the food that we buy? 90% of it comes from somewhere else. So, what if these countries decide to just sell their product to other countries? They're still going to sell it, just not to us. But we've never thought of that. No one would not sell to Americans. We don't know that. Yeah. Anywho, these are some reasons why people are leaving America. Is because America hasn't been great again. Hopefully, one day it will be great again, but the pastures are greener on the other side. Colombia is great. Honduras is great. Mexico in certain places is good. Where else is really good? Peru is really good. Paraguay is really good. Yeah, there's lots of places. So this is why people are leaving America, because there's other options. There are better options too, and just as safe as America. All right, I'll see you guys in the next episode.